I've always thought Moses would be a great name for a dog. There's a wonderful story in the Hebrew Scriptures about Moses leading the children of Israel out of captivity in Egypt and toward the Promised Land. But before they got there, the people had to wander in the wilderness for about 40 years. It's rarely a straight, fast, or easy shot to your goal, is it? They had an arduous and difficult journey. There was a lot of complaining, whining, finger-pointing, second-guessing, and constant bickering. Tommy stole my manna. My camel ate my homework. Even though he threatened to quit several times, Moses was a good leader and didn't feed in to their complaints or their fears. He just kept doing the right thing, kept leading them toward that place to which he knew God was calling them. A first step was at Mount Sinai on the Sinai Peninsula. In Arabic, it's called Jabal Musa, Mount Moses. As the story goes, God called Moses up to the summit of Mount Sinai, where Moses found himself completely surrounded by thick darkness. When the people saw it, they were scared, because like a lot of us, they did not do well with ambiguity and the unknown. They wanted things to be crystal clear. But Moses stayed up there for about 40 days. Not as long as our recent stay-at-home shelter-in-place directive, but still a long time to be sequestered with no one but your God and yourself. Down below, the people started getting antsy. They started doing stupid things, demanding a timeline, endangering themselves and others, seeking a quick fix, a ready-made God that they could control. Moses eventually descended from that mountain, and he was carrying 2 tablets, not iPads, but stone tablets. And on them were 10 commandments. Now, the interesting thing about commandments is that their purpose is not to deny us our rights or prohibit us from enjoying life. Quite the contrary, they're supposed to be helpful. They're guidelines, covenants, revealing how we might live in a way that empowers our best selves and keeps us respectful of one another and connected in a positive way. The prophets and Jesus would later summarize the 10 commandments as really just 2 commandments. Love God with every part of yourself, your intellect, imagination, emotion, will, your mind, your body, your heart, your soul. And number 2, love your neighbor, which really means everyone, especially those not like you, as you love yourself. And that's a really important point. If you don't love yourself and respect yourself, it's not likely you will love and respect others. All that hateful behavior we humans sometimes exhibit, racism, homophobia, prejudice, violence, injustice, it's usually just a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. So love God and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, during this pandemic, which is serious stuff, it's nothing to be sneezed at, I started thinking about the 10 commencement commandments in the time of COVID. Keep these commandments, and I believe you will have a rich, satisfying, meaningful, and joy-filled life. The first commandment is this: thou shalt celebrate thyself. The truth is, you should always be yourself, because everyone else is already taken. You are the only you in the entire world. It's important to remember that whatever flaws or imperfections you think you might have, you are a one-of-a-kind original. No one else has your unique combination of personality traits, talents, quirks, tastes, and experience. Celebrate thyself. The second commandment is this: know thy story. Now, you may think that your story is not all that interesting, exciting, or helpful. You'd be surprised. Your story, which is the only one that you can tell with any sense of authenticity, your challenges, your struggles, your failures, your successes, your embarrassing moments, that might be just what someone needs to hear, to keep them going, to give them hope, or to make them laugh. Know thy story and be willing to share it. The third commandment is count thy blessings. Thou shalt count thy blessings in all circumstances. Wandering out there in the wilderness for so long was no fun for the children of Israel. Trying to survive a pandemic is not a cakewalk. But those who have done best during this difficult time are those who are deeply aware of all that they have, and they take none of it for granted. They make gratitude lists and thank God for all the blessings of their lives. The happiest people I know give thanks every single day. So count thy blessings and be grateful. Commandment number 4, discern thy values. What are your values? What is their source? What do you stand for in this life? On what do you base your most important decisions? How you will act, how you will vote, how you will spend and share, how you will live. What defines you as a person? Where do you stand in times of challenge and controversy? What is right? What is wrong? How will you work to change this world for the better? Discern thy values and live them out every day. The 5th commandment is this: thou shalt always be kind. When I was 3 years old, I memorized my very first Bible verse, be ye kind one to another. Now, since that time, I've studied the Bible extensively. In grad school, I even learned to read the scriptures in the original languages of Hebrew and Greek. Isn't that impressive? But what I've come to understand is that despite all of those intensive critical studies, there is still nothing more important in every spiritual tradition than that first verse I memorized, be ye kind one to another. Always remember that it's more important to be loving than to be right. As the great poet Maya Angelou once said, people will forget what you said and what you did, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Make them feel loved. Always be kind. The 6th commandment is this: thou shalt pursue thy bliss. The great mythologist and teacher of comparative religion, Joseph Campbell, said, follow your bliss, and the universe will open doors where there were only walls. What is that which brings you the most joy in life? That place to which your Creator calls you is where your deepest joy and the world's greatest need meet up. Your joy plus the world's need equals your calling. That's where you're supposed to be. Thou shalt follow thy bliss. Commandment 7, thou shalt reach out beyond thyself. This is one of the great paradoxes of faith and of life. The more we focus on ourselves and our needs and even pursue our own happiness, the less we find it. But if we reach out beyond ourselves in love and compassion to others in the world, our own happiness and joy increase exponentially. Jesus put it this way: those who are willing to lose themselves will actually find themselves. Martin Luther King Jr. used these words: life's most urgent and important question is this: what are you doing for others? The most meaningful, purposeful, satisfying life is the one that gives of itself. Reach out beyond thyself. Commencement commandment number 8, thou shalt be more open. Show me a person with a closed mind, and I will show you someone incredibly dull. Stasis is never an option for those who seek to be faithful. Open yourself up to new thoughts, new ideas, new perspectives, new experiences and adventures. Listen, learn, grow, evolve. Be willing to change your mind and yourself. As G.B. Shaw once said, if you can't change your mind, you can't change anything. Be open to what the universe is trying to teach you. Know enough to know that you know nothing. Open your mind, your heart, your future, and your life. Commandment 9, Thou shalt prioritize thy relationships. One of the great lessons my dogs have taught me is that the most important thing in my life is not my career or education or material possessions, it's my relationships. Make time for your relationships above all else. Value your friends, families, parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, teachers, coaches, dogs, and yes, because God loves all, even your cats. Make the people in your life your priorities. Without them, you have nothing. And number 10 of the commencement commandments in the time of COVID, thou shalt not take thyself too seriously. Life is too important to be taken too seriously. Lighten up. As G.K. Chesterton observed, the angels can fly because they take themselves lightly. Madeleine L'Engle once wrote, "A good laugh heals a lot of hurts." Indeed it does. And there will be hurts, pain, loss. A sense of humor will bring you through those ordeals and give you the greatest sense of perspective. Be in on the joke at all times, and even if you don't get it, laugh. The more you laugh, the funnier you'll think it is. Laughter is contagious and it's good for all that ails us. Thou shalt not take thyself too seriously. May these commencement commandments in the time of COVID help you in the years ahead lead a richer, fuller, more meaningful life. You know, they're really not all that hard to keep, but even if they were, you graduated in the midst of a pandemic. There is nothing you cannot do. We're pulling for you and we are praying for you. With God's help, you got this.